Well, hello everybody. I can't believe it. I woke up this morning, I grabbed my phone as we probably mostly do, and I started to read. And what have I seen? The Sony A7R 4. 4. I can't believe it. There it is there. That's the Sony A7R 4. And is it even 2 years since the 3 came out? I got the 3 just about a year ago, and I'm sure it came out, I'm pretty sure it was announced at the end of 2017. I don't even think that camera's 2 years old. This is huge. This is a big deal. We thought the GFX 100 was a big deal. It's still a big deal. But Sony have hit back with something that I think is amazing. I think it's astonishing. And it continues to show to me that the camera industry is absolutely pounding it out for our attention. All the big companies, they are absolutely scrambling to get us to buy into their systems. This camera has replaced a camera that's about a year and a half old. That's it. And let's face it, it trumps absolutely everything else that's in the full frame mirrorless space in regards to its specs. Now, based on Sony's previous experience, it would be very hard to believe that they haven't created something that is outstanding. So here are my two A7. This is the original A7R, and this is the A7R3 with the 24-105. I am a big Sony fan. I love Sony, and I've invested big bucks because I'm interested in what they're doing in this space. This thing cost me like $3,500. This cost me $5,500 without a lens. So when I hear the A7R4 is out and it's got 61 megapixels, my Nikon has 45. It has 61. That is a 33% increase in data. Now, as I'm a professional photographer, that's a real thing. If you don't have to create billboards, etc., well, it's less of a real thing. But, of course, I'm learning, and this is something that I haven't thought about in the past, I'm learning people love to crop into their images. It's something that I've never thought about because I started on film, which wasn't really that high res, and cropping film meant you had an even worse shot. Now the technology we have is so fantastic that cropping is actually becoming something that you can do, and there's still tons of quality left. So it's actually starting to change my thinking. But I am off in the weeds a little bit. Let's talk about the Sony A7R4. Oh my God, I can't believe it. A7R4. We've had 4 iterations since 2013. Or is it late 2012? Either way, 4 cameras in 6 or 7 years. That is so much. So what have they done? So they've given us this amazing new sensor. Clearly it's a cracker. Allegedly faster focus, much more high resolution EVF, 5 million odd pixels. So I think that's fantastic. The refresh rates have probably increased. And probably my biggest gripe in owning the A7R, both of them, versus the Nikon Z7, which I also have and we're shooting on right now, is the ergonomics. Now, reviewers to date, because I haven't reviewed one, I haven't seen one of these cameras yet, are saying the ergonomics are improved. Whether they're as good as a Nikon is hard to say. I'm guessing they're probably not, just because of size constrictions. But anything that they can do to improve the quality of the ergonomics is a great thing for me. And even if they got halfway to the Nikon from where they are now, that would be a massive change. It's not a deal breaker, it's just something that makes it harder for someone like me who has big hands. So fantastic that they're working on the ergonomics. The camera is allegedly as fast as the A7 III, even so it's got almost 50% more pixels than the 42 megapixel A7R3. This has got 61, so it's almost got 50% more pixels. It's still running at the same speed. It's got better autofocus, better EV, improved ergonomics, 2 high-speed SD slots. It's also doing 4K video without pixel binning. I haven't worked out the maths on that yet, but that's a good thing. You know, this is a very compelling camera. It's very exciting. So that's the camera. That's what's going on. It's coming out in September. $3,500 US, which makes it about $5,000 here. So the price is the same. They haven't put the price up. So what does this mean? So if I was Fuji, I'd be a bit frustrated for stealing my thunder. I still think Fuji are going to be fine. They've got their own medium format niche, and they've still got 100 megapixels, which is way more than 61. So they're fine. But I have to say, if I was Hasselblad, who made my announcement just a week or two ago about my new X1D 2, I would be pretty miffed at this point in time. Again, I know it's a medium format sensor, and again, I know that it's optically going to be a different experience coming from medium format sized sensor, much larger pixels on the Hasselblad, and different glass, larger glass. It means theoretically you're going to get a superior outcome from the Hasselblad. But the problem is the world doesn't always think about that. The world just thinks about the economics. And the economics of it is similar pixel counts, much, much cheaper to get into it. Which may well be why the Hasselblad has dropped in price so much, but the Sony is still cheaper. Yeah, the economics of it is, you're looking at a Hasselblad, which of course it has all the superior optics and sensor and pixel size that a medium format has, absolutely. But if you're just worried about pixel count, it's 50 megapixels versus this Sony's 61 megapixels. So from an industry perspective, you're coming in new, you want a high pixel count camera, you're looking around the 50 mark, and you've got the Hasselblad ecosystem and you've got the Sony ecosystem. It's a tough buy-in for the Hasselblad. It's tough. DJI, some people don't want me to say DJI/Hasselblad, but DJI are the money behind Hasselblad in the main now. These guys have got to pull their finger out, I think. Or maybe Hasselblad are happy to be a premium kind of luxury camera brand in that mirrorless DSLR space, a bit like Leica are. So yes, if I was Hasselblad, I would definitely be scratching my head, asking myself some questions about what are we going to do next. So the industry continues, as I've said in previous episodes, is continuing to go nuts. We have got crazy things happening. And I'm also interested in the fact that we are seeing the A7R4 before we are seeing the A7S III. And this says to me a few things about the A7S. Because of what's going on, they may well have decided to leap whatever the A7S III was and bring basically what the A7S IV was. They're planning around that. They've kind of jumped it. Now, the 4 may end up being called the 3, but I have a feeling that's what's happened. They've just decided what was on the drawing board with the A7S III has already kind of been superseded, and there's just no point. That's my guess. It's very interesting that this camera's come out first. It's definitely a strategic move from Sony to keep their opposition on their toes. Canon have done a great job. Nikon have done a great job. Fuji's done a great job. Hasselblad, it's a great camera still, absolutely. All of these cameras are great, valid, amazing camera in this high pixel count space. Absolutely, for sure. But what have Sony done? They've dropped this camera, I reckon, a bit early, and they're keeping everybody on their toes, and so the industry continues to slug it out. So the A7R4, what do we think? Such a high pixel count in such a small space. Have Sony yet again, being the major sensor creator for the world, they create the majority of sensors all cameras use, have they once again got the black magic, they've found the magic, they've created a sensor with more pixel density probably than we've ever seen, and yet can still give us these higher ISOs, high readout rates, and amazing 15-stop dynamic range is what I've read. There's obviously some science going on there. I wondered a few years ago if we'd kind of reached the limit of what they could do with sensors, a bit like what has happened with computer chips. And instead of making them faster, we've just had more and more cores. So if this chip is up to Sony's standard, 61 megapixels and a 35mm body, amazing. Can't wait to see it. I'd love to know what you all think Is this too much? Is this just enough? You know, the fact that you can shoot APS-C images and still get, I think it was a 27 megapixel file out of it. Ridiculous. How does this make you feel about Sony? If you were sitting on the fence between Sony, Nikon, Canon, is this the sort of camera that's just going to tip you over the edge? Owning an A7R III, it is technically a great camera. It's only really the ergonomics of it, which I have a problem with, versus my Nikons. Otherwise, this would be, you know, technically, it's absolutely spot on. It does a lot of things amazingly well. I do wish they'd move away from SD. That is my only thought. And I'm surprised they haven't gone with XQD or something. It's an interesting thing, seeing as they actually created the format and sell cards. Something's going on there. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, what do you think? Is Sony something you'd now be interested in? If this camera is as good as the A7R III plus all the extra bits they've added, it is a cracker of absolute cracker of a camera for the money. And they've done some work on the ergonomics. Crazy. I would love to hear your thoughts. It's exciting times for us photographers. It's just insane. And of course, I don't talk about this because we have to buy it. I just talk about it for the fact that technological advancement. Isn't it amazing? Man went to the moon 50 years ago, and we love celebrating technological advancement. So just this discussion in the context of technology is very exciting and very interesting, even if we never even buy these things. But gosh, look at you go, Sony. That is very, very impressive. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have been, please share, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.